Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order the County Public Safety Coordinating Council meeting. This is our full meeting, January 22nd, 2021. Ms. Preza, roll call, please.
The roll call has been changed to do roll call for those in attendance first, and then we will proceed with those attending virtually. Ms. Holt.
Present.
Chief Figueroa.
Here.
Judge Conrad.
Here.
Ms. Stewart.
Here.
Mr. Bates.
Here.
Mr. Parkinson.
Here.
Ms. Lewis. Here. Ms. Royston.
Here.
Ms. Obregon.
I'm actually remote.
Virtual.
Mr. Barentine. Ms. Condemo.
Here.
Mr. Davis.
John Newman for Mr. Davis.
Those listed as attending virtually, Sheriff Cronister.
Here.
Mr. Warren.
Here.
Commissioner Overman. Chief Dugan.
Chief Delgado here for Chief Dugan.
Ms. Grant. Chief Daniel.
I'm here.
Mr. Proctor.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Councilman Goulds.
Here.
Senator Relson. Chair, we have quorum.
Thank you very much. Because we do have some new members, what I think I'll do for a moment, I'll start with Mr. Parkinson. If we could just go around and introduce ourselves, at least those of us that are here, and then also a couple of the people virtually who all of us may not know.
I'm Rob Parkinson. I'm the Hillsborough County Criminal Justice Liaison, and I work under the County Administrator.
Mr. Newman, you're next.
John Newman, Chief of Security and Emergency Management for Hillsborough County Public Schools.
Good morning, Pat Barentine, Circuit Administrator for State Probation for the Department of Corrections here in Hillsborough County.
Good morning. Judy Royston, Department of Juvenile Justice, Probation and Community Intervention.
Good morning, Patricia Condamo, President of the Tampa Hispanic Bar Association.
Good morning, Cindy Stewart, Clerk of the Court and Comptroller.
And congratulations to you, Ms. Stewart.
Thank you.
Julianne Holt with the Public Defender's Office.
Ron Ficarota, the Chief Judge of the 13th Judicial Circuit.
John Conrad, County Court Judge assigned to the Criminal Division.
Nick Bates, Neighborhood Watch.
Yvette Lewis, representing the oldest civil rights organization there is, and that's the NAACP.
Colonel Melissa Moore, Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, the Department of Detention Services.
Virtually, at this time, Councilman Goods, if you would just introduce yourself a little bit to everyone, because I think you might be the one person that not everyone has had an opportunity to meet yet.
Councilman Orlando Goods, Tampa City Council, District 5.
Good to see you, sir. And Commissioner Overman, are you with us?
I am Commissioner Overman, County Commission countywide, District 7, and actually there's a bunch of folks on here that I've met working on human trafficking as well as juvenile justice. So good morning, everyone.
I know it's been a long several months since we've had an opportunity to get together, so I just wanted to make sure everybody had met a couple of our leaders here in the community. And also, going off script for just a minute, Sheriff Cronister, sir.
Yes, Madam Chair.
On behalf of this council and on behalf of all the ladies and men that work in all of our respective agencies, please accept our condolences on your loss and that of your agency's loss. Our thoughts and our prayers are with all of you, and for those of us that knew Brian, we obviously know what good person he was, and so please accept our condolences today.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of, of all of us, I want to thank everyone for your condolences, your prayers. They've been overwhelmingly comforting, so thank you. I appreciate that.
And Chief Delgado, if you would, on behalf again of the council and on behalf of all of us, all of our respective agencies and those that work with us, we again express our condolences on the 2 losses that your agency has had in the last couple of weeks, and that is your former Chief McLean, as well as Kirby Rainsberger, who all of us who have been here for a long time have known Kirby. I remember him from my private practice days, calling him and asking him, can't you give my client their car back? I please, again, express our condolences to the chief and to the mayor and to those in your agency.
Madam Chair, and I will definitely pass that along. I appreciate all the support. Obviously, Kirby's impacted this county for a long time and has made a great impact on this. So the service information just came out. If you don't have it, I can make sure I can forward it to everybody so they have it. It will be at Bay Life Church in Brandon on the 6th of February.
If you would pass that on to Ms. Prezes, she'll make sure that it does get to the rest of us. I did see that the Hillsborough County Bar Association did notify its membership this morning. So, and obviously, these are some trying times, and so I would ask that all of us keep our law enforcement, ladies and gentlemen, in our thoughts on a regular basis. It's a challenging time for all of us. Our community is a good community, and I'm confident that we can get through these types of situations. That being said, at this time, I would also ask you to look at the minutes from our November 13th, 2020 meeting, and if we could have an appropriate motion after a review of the minutes.
I move to approve.
Chief Judge Ron Ficarota moves approval, second by Cindy Stewart, our clerk of court. Are there any additions, corrections, deletions that must be made to the minutes before we vote on the motion at all? All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And we will again go off script at this moment so that I can take a few minutes. Ms. Frank, if you would unmute yourself. Wish we could be in person and we could see you in person, but I did want to take an opportunity today. We have prepared for you a plaque that is from the Public Safety Coordinating Council. It's to be presented to Pat Frank in appreciation for your invaluable contributions and your distinguished service to this council from 2005 to 2020. You and I, Ms. Frank, have already had an opportunity to express my gratitude for all of your years of friendship and service, and so I'm going to pass on making lengthier comments today and instead ask whoever wants to make comments before Ms. Frank gets an opportunity to speak to us. Please feel free to do so, and I'll start with Chief Judge Ron Ficarota.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Of course, I've had an opportunity to speak to Pat also. It's a very unique relationship that the courts have with the clerk's office. And Hillsborough County is very unique because there's a great relationship between our clerk's office and our judiciary and our judges. And it's not like that around the state. Oftentimes it can be an adverse relationship. But Pat has just been a great partner to work with, and that's why I'm so proud of our courts and our relationship with the clerk. It is something that other circuits are very, very jealous of. So Pat, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your leadership. You will be missed.
Thank you so much, Chief. You'll always be my chief.
All right, I'm going to then move to Ms. Stewart, who I know you've also had an opportunity to speak with Ms. Frank for, I'm sure, hundreds of hours at this point, but feel free to make your comments, ma'am.
No, so Pat and I have had many opportunities to talk about this office and the relationship that we have with the court, and I'm grateful to sit in this chair and to have had such a smooth transition with her, and I know she will always be right here watching over until and as much as she can, watching over what happens in this office, and I am grateful for that gratitude. And Ms. Frank, always, again, grateful for your service here. Even though I know you had assignments here and Julie's already handed them off to me, so thank you for that.
Thank you for continuing the good work, Cindy.
Wish to make any comments that's present here? All right, anyone on the virtual?
Madam Chair, it's State Attorney. I'd just like to thank Pat. She had been extremely supportive to me during the beginning of my tenure. As she and I have talked about before, she's always been, as a trailblazer in this community, an inspiration to me and my daughters. And it's been such a pleasure working with her office over the past 4 years, and we're really going to miss you.
Well, and I've appreciated the work that you're doing, Andrew. You're making justice more pristine than it is. And every day you work ahead on that goal. Thank you for that.
Pat, feel free to make whatever comments you would like to make at this time. I promise you we'll get you your plaque. And I obviously, you hold a very special place in my heart. You paved the way for a lot of us. And so for that, we all thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Julie, and I really appreciate this honor. It gave me a chance to sort of think of some of the things that happened on the PSCC when I was on it, and I just want to point out some of those magical moments. Remember, we had quite a problem when the Salvation Army gave up doing the probationary work, and there was a contentious situation. But fortunately, the sheriff took over the probation, and we have worked with that department, and everything is going very smoothly. The collections are better than they were, because once somebody walks out of the courthouse, it's very difficult to get them to pay, and probationers are no exception. So everything has been working very well. Then the other thing was we instituted the green light amnesty, and everybody had to work on that to try to get people straightened out who hadn't paid their fine, fees, and costs, and they had been overwhelmed by how it had accumulated. And so one time, and we the state clerks picked a date that we didn't particularly think was very good. It was around Christmas time, and we thought people are not going to come in and pay and try to straighten that out at Christmas time. So we did it at tax time, when they might get some refund back. And that proved to be quite successful, and that's going on still. So it's been a beneficial thing for us because we've gotten revenue, and also for the people because they've had an opportunity to appeal and say why they couldn't pay it, and possibly get some a diminution in the fines and fees, and also to get their driver's license that day, which was working with the Department of Motor Vehicles. So all of this was a cooperative effort. And then something that was dear to my heart was trying to get domestic violence victims so that they didn't have to come down to the courthouse to try to get some immediate action on what had happened to them. And because the PSCC supported this notion, we are now able to do it in an expeditious way, and people can take their oath virtually, and they can get a temporary injunction virtually, and the process is much better, much more efficient on everyone. And then we had the idea of civil citations for misdemeanors for young people. Why blemish their careers forever because of something that was foolishly done as a young person? And I think all of us can appreciate that if we go back and think about what crazy thing we did that was, why did we do that? But we weren't, we sometimes were of a situation where we didn't have a stigma. We may have been able to take care of that with fines and fees. But this way, these people are not stigmatized. And in fact, they're even enhanced because they get some mental health advice if that's needed. Then restoring felons' voting rights. That's something that we were able to work with the state organization that gave us some money to start out to pay part of the fines. And we were able to give up part of the money that the collection agencies would have had to collect by reducing that portion of the fine, that 40%. You know, if we were in another district where, as Judge Ficker-Roden so well knows, where there's conflict between the courts and the clerks, that doesn't happen. That cooperation just isn't there because there is a consistent jealousy that perhaps the courts are taking money from the clerks or the clerks are taking money from the courts. We don't have that situation here. We have a cooperative effort where we come to a common goal and work together. And then the last is modernizing the jury system. And that means that people don't have to come down there and sit and wait all day long to find out if they're going to have to serve on jury. And that was the biggest bugaboo about people not wanting to serve. So that's being modernized continuously now. We're not totally completed, but we've certainly made some improvements. So all of those things could not be done without the PSCC. If everybody had to do one thing by themselves, which affected other offices, it would never get achieved. And this arrangement is the vehicle to accomplish great things in justice. I was on a committee that Justice Peggy Quince had, the Supreme Court Justice, and it was trying to look at the justice within the system as it regards diversity. And I think that each one of these things make us a better county to be the model for what counties should be in treating people who are of low means or are of different color or different nationality. And the special courts that we have, drug courts, veterans courts, all are trying to address a specific interest that has particularly unique problems. And the PSCC is just as I said, very valuable. So I want to congratulate each of you for being a member and for giving your extra time because you've got your principal duties. And this is one more day. And the only thing was the 8:30 is hard for me. That was the hardest thing of all. I could never make it on time. I might be 5 minutes late, but I was always late. So I was happy that I had a virtual meeting with you because here I am down at the beach on time. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Julie, for being a wonderful leader.
Thank you, Pat.
Bravo.
Enjoy that beach time over there, and we'll look forward to seeing you. So thank you very much for all your years of service. It makes me feel good to hear all those things that we've accomplished, Chief. Sometimes we forget all the things that we've accomplished over the years. All right, under old business, we have our 2021 subcommittee member list. If you would just take the time to look through the list. Number one, see if you're a chair or a vice chair of a particular committee, because obviously then if you, so for instance, Ms. Stewart, you're in charge of long-range technology planning, which Mr. Parkinson and I would look forward to meeting with you whenever you can settle down on the calendar a little bit so that we can talk to you about perhaps what the plan was at the
Who
time.
else gets assignments in week 2 like this?
But in looking at the committees, number one, if you are not on a committee that you'd like to serve, just let Ms. Preza know, and she will add you to the committee. I'll reach out to all of the chairs just to see perhaps what we might want to put on our radar this year, 2021. The one good part about working virtually is it seems that we can have a lot of meetings without travel time, so hopefully we can move some of our strategic planning items through this year in a productive way. I know this past year has been a little bit tough because we've all been trying to just find ways to maintain and keep our business going. So that would take care of old business. Under new business, Ms. Preza, we have election of officers.
In accordance with the Public Safety Coordinating Council bylaws, nominations for council chair and vice chair were held at the November 13th, 2020 full council meeting. You must now vote on those nominations. Nominated for chair is Ms. Julie Holt. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. If you're present, please also raise your hand.
Aye.
Hello, aye.
Oh, it was pressed before, so, okay.
For those of you that are appearing virtually, Ms. Preza, what would be your pleasure that they just indicate?
Indicate by raising your hand, please. We need to redo. The mic was not on. It was on previously, but it's not on. So, redo. In accordance with the Public Safety Coordinating Council bylaws, nominations for council chair and vice chair were held at the November 13th, 2020 full council meeting. You must now vote on those nominations. Nominated for chair is Ms. Julie Holt. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. If you're present or virtually, please also raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? For vice chair for Sheriff Cronister. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye, and also raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations on your nominations.
Sheriff Cronister and I thank you for the opportunity, and we promise to keep you busy throughout the year.
Madam Chair, we thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Warren, if you could unmute, do you have Ms. Wilds available for the presentation, or will you be handling that?
I think she should be jumping on if she's not on.
See her under the participants. If you could reach out to her, we can handle one of the other items while you.
That's fine. Thank you.
Mr. Parkinson, sir, could you discuss with us the sequential intercept mapping and reentry subcommittee meeting summary?
Yes, Madam Chair. For the benefit of the new members, I'll give a little bit of background on this issue. In January of 2019, Chief Judge Figueroa hosted a sequential intercept mapping for the Circuit 13 criminal justice system with a specific focus on community reentry processes for persons incarcerated in jail and prison. The resulting system map and plan produced by USF faculty outlined our community's strengths and challenges in the area of reentry. In summary, our primary areas of need were identified as improving access to behavioral health treatment and resources, employment services, housing, and improved coordination during the reentry planning and implementation process. In the intervening 2 years, system stakeholders have worked to address the perceived system gaps and have resulted in improvements in access to substance abuse and mental health resources supported by our county health care plan and federal and state grants. They've also resulted in enhancement of our specialty courts, including mental health court, veterans treatment court, and drug courts. And our BOCC has taken direct action to improve affordable housing options and resources in our community. One area that we haven't had placed specific focus on is enhancing coordination during the reentry planning and implementation process. To that end, Sheriff Chronister, through his designee, Colonel Melissa Moore, convened the PSCC Reentry Committee on November 11 to evaluate an opportunity to partner with NAVCare, who is our current jail medical provider, to develop an integrated automated system to facilitate communication between stakeholders, improve reentry success, reduce criminal recidivism, and improve overall public safety. The system, known as Coordify, has potential to be utilized for diversion and specialty court assessment and referral, enhance reentry planning, resource matching and referrals, facilitate communication and data sharing among our stakeholders, and provide real-time resource management and performance dashboards. NAVCare is actually willing to develop the system to meet Circuit 13 specific needs at no cost. However, if the PSCC recommends implementing the system after its development, there'll be a cost of approximately $90,000 per year. The PSCC Reentry Committee has recommended that we establish a small working group consisting of the county, administrative office of the courts, sheriff's office, clerk of the court, PD and state attorney's office, to work with NAVCare on a draft system. Then bring the finished work product back to the PSCC to determine if there's added value or enough added value to support moving forward on the project. And at this juncture, we're looking at scheduling our first meeting on the project in early to mid-February. And that's my summary, Ms. Holt.
Right. Colonel Moore, did you want to add anything?
No, Rob covered it all. Thank you, Rob.
Any questions of Mr. Parkinson? Any comments? Mr. Warren?
Madam Chair, Ms. Wilds is joining us momentarily. I had just sent her the link, so she should be jumping on.
Another subject for just a moment. Also in your packet should be our Public Safety Coordinating Council master calendar, but in case anyone has missed it, our dates are today, obviously, January 22nd is the full council. April 23rd will be an executive committee meeting. May 14th will be the full council. September 17th would be the executive committee meeting, and November 12th will be our full council meeting. Locations will be determined as we go along this year. There is a requirement, obviously, at this time that you're aware of, that we are required to have an in-person quorum, and so we will be reaching out and trying to make sure that we meet the quorums, because we usually do have something to vote on. So if any of those dates in any way conflict with anything that you're aware of today and that you'd like to discuss, please do so at this time. Again at 8:30, and again we'll tell you when there is a location to be determined. That might be different than this one, depending on how things progress at this point. I'm trying to see if Ms. Wiles is on. Ms. Wiles, are you on? Then our next subject matter would be whether or not we would like to make any type of recommendations regarding any type of legislative bills that may be pending and or any budgetary concerns that we may have that we might want to see if the Public Safety Coordinating Council might want to write a letter in support of or in opposition of anything. Are there any concerns? Any bills that anyone wishes us to take a look at? Please, with any concerns?
Chair, this is Commissioner Overman. I don't know if you can hear me.
Can, go ahead.
Okay. I know that the county internally is working on developing a 10-point plan to address the pending eviction tsunami we're expecting very soon. And that is going to take problem solving for that circumstance is going to take working not only with the clerk's office, the county's office, but also possibly the court system, as well as community services and working with landlords and trying to figure out how to best handle that. But I believe there may be some legislation that Senator Rousseau is bringing forward that has to do with how evictions are actually and how code enforcement is actually applied. Because frequently the eviction occurs because the tenant doesn't, not only has lost a job, but they also don't respond because they're afraid, not having any other choice or any other option for where to live. They're afraid to say anything, and they live in a very difficult circumstances, and that has to be held. That's a little complicated in terms to pursue that. There's not consistency across municipalities, states, and jurisdictions. So I think he's working on that piece of legislation. Has that been discussed at all with this group? I'm brand new, so I'm figuring out where these things lie.
It has not.
Okay. And I don't see him on today. Is Senator Rizzo still on the Public Safety Council?
Son is still a member of the council. I know that I can talk to him tomorrow because I'm going to be on his radio show tomorrow, so I can chat with him tomorrow if you'd like for us to do that.
I know he talked about it, but I wasn't sure because honestly, when people lose their place to live, the rest of their life becomes, very, very problematic. And even if they aren't inclined to do anything wrong, they find themselves in a situation where no choices give them many positive ones. So it's a good idea to try and mitigate that wall that's coming, and we anticipate it. Now, it sounds like on a national level, we may have a bit of a reprieve, but in spite of that, we still see evictions being filed, and they still are occurring because of the lack of information out there. And so in terms of how to handle it and that fear factor that I was just describing, that exacerbates the situation. So I'll work with Rusan on finding out where that is, but if you wouldn't mind checking with him, and then maybe we'll talk about how it impacts the work that we do here, if that were to move forward or not move forward, because next few months is going to be pretty rough. Thank you, and I'll stop there.
Of course, you're a veteran going to Tallahassee, as am I, and Clerk Stewart is also aware, the budget issues we're going to be dealing with this legislative session are compelling. This is not going to be the typical legislative session. There's going to be a huge budget deficit, although the numbers that have been coming in are not as bad as they thought. They're still bad, and it's going to affect the services that we're able to provide. Commissioner Overman mentions the tsunami of eviction cases, and Madam Chair, as you're well aware of how our numbers have increased in our other divisions, in our criminal divisions. Judge Conrad, very aware of what the numbers are like in our county courts. And of course, we've been short of judges here in Hillsborough County for a long time. We were certified for 4 additional county judges last year, and for the first time since the 1980s, the legislature actually funded those 4 additional judgeships, only to have them vetoed by the governor based on the circumstances at the time. So those 4 are still on the books, and Hillsborough County's been certified for an additional 2 county judges on top of those 4. Now, the reality of it is we're not going to get those judges, certainly not all 6, certainly not all 4. I'm doing all I can to see if we can get 1 or 2, but of course, I'm the eternal optimist. But I think we have to be realistic and realize we're all going to be feeling some pain, and the budget is going to be a difficult topic this year up in Tallahassee.
Yes, it is. The public defenders and state attorneys regional council, all of those agencies under the Justice Administrative Commission are making their budget presentations this upcoming week. And we're actually asking for them to release our 6% holdback that they have given us this year. So that's going to be one of our requests. And I think we're going to stay very focused on budgetary issues as opposed to substantive. Ms. Stewart?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is a suggestion. I don't know if our bylaws allow for a temporary work group to be put together for those agencies that will have legislative issues. I don't know that all agencies at the table will have or have a voice in Tallahassee, but it's early. And we don't meet again until April. So my concern is the time frame between now and Commissioner Overman's concern about evictions, my office's concerns about the budget, obviously yours as well, that possibly we could put together a temporary work group that could meet specifically on legislative issues and how we go to Tallahassee with one unified voice instead of all of us running around to different offices asking for similar things. And I don't know if that's your pleasure or not.
We certainly can create a temporary work group for that purpose, and I'm more than happy to do so. I think the first question would then be who would like to chair that committee?
I'm happy to coordinate and chair as the clerk. We certainly have our legislative issues, and I have a government liaison that I have brought on board my staff, which has not been something that's been part of the working office of the clerk. So we are already having conversations with legislators about the budget and where things are going to fall for this community, for our office. So I'm happy to chair that.
Would you like to vice chair, or would you like to have Ms. Justice be a vice chair?
Probably Ms. Justice be the vice chair. Quite frankly, from the judiciary side, there are certain limits on what we can do regarding Tallahassee. And we speak with a unified voice branch-wide.
Right.
But I'll be happy to participate and do whatever I can to assist.
Right. Who would like to serve on the committee with Ms. Stewart? Obviously, I will. Mr. Parkinson, are you raising your hand down there?
I am not, but I can certainly participate, Ms. Holtz.
Mr. Warren?
Right now, I'm on 4 separate committees. That's something that we're actually looking to delegate within the office. So we can certainly have somebody from the state attorney's office to serve on the committee. I just can't guarantee it'll be me.
And Commissioner Overman?
Yes, please.
Appearing virtually?
Yeah, I'm a virtual person for the rest of my life at this point, so I'm not necessarily, but I would very much like to meet virtually with the group. That would be great.
All right. And Ms. Preza can get you everyone's contact information if you need any of it. She has all of it. Thank you. Thank you for volunteering to do that, Ms. Stewart. Mr. Parkinson, I know you have something under other business. If you would like to address that at this time, and I'll look to see if Ms. Wiles is available.
Thank you, Ms. Holtz. Since 2005, the Public Safety Coordinating Council has been designated by our by our Board of County Commissioners to provide recommendations on the State Department of Children and Families Substance Abuse and Mental Health Reinvestment Act grant program. In the past, we've used that grant program to support various jail diversion programs, mental health court, enhanced drug court, and a number of our reentry programs. On Tuesday, they released a new request for applications for the coming year. So there's $1.2 million that will be available on a competitive basis for us. At this juncture, we've received a request from stakeholders from our Juvenile Justice Competency Court to put together an application to provide added resources for the Juvenile Competency Court. And I'm inclined to support that. So at this time, I'd like a letter of support from the PSCC supporting that application to enhance the Juvenile Competency Court.
Right. Mr. Parkinson would move that we prepare a letter of support. Is there a second to the motion? Second by Mr. Bates. Discussion on the motion. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Virtually, is there anyone opposed, or if you'll just raise your hand so that we know that you're in favor? Thank you very much. Motion passes.
Thank you.
And Chief Daniel, did you have your hand up a few minutes ago? Did you want to discuss something?
No, I'm good. I appreciate it.
Ms. Wiles is on the phone at this, is on virtually at this time, and so she is going to discuss with us the deter program that is run through the state attorney's office, as well as make some comments on our adult mental health court.
I apologize for being late. I did want to take you through a new program that we have at the state attorney's office. It's called DETER, which stands for Drug Education and Treatment Reducing Recidivism. And we started this program in 2020 as a way to capture more of our low risk offenders. So they wouldn't go through the criminal justice system, but they had drug offenses. And there are 3 levels to the program. And I'll go through the program, and if you have any questions along the way, just let me know. The first level is for people with cannabis charges. Any cannabis charge that you have, a possession of cannabis charge, you go into level 1. And it does not matter if you have a prior record for this. It does not matter if you score prison for level 1. So what happens is if you have a possession charge, a possession of cannabis charge, you go into deter level 1. What you have to do in that program, and we allow you to consider, we consider treatment, but it's not a requirement that you get treatment. What you do have to do, though, is remain arrest-free for 6 months. So you sign a contract, the defendant, defense attorney in our office, and we work with the Department of Corrections. And as long as you remain arrest-free for 6 months, we dismiss the charge against you. That's for cannabis charges, and that's level 1. Level 2 is for, cannabis charges 30 grams or under, which is slightly above what we consider a felony amount. 30 grams or under of cannabis is level 1. Level 2 is all other possession cases, possession of cocaine, anything above 30 grams of cannabis, possession of heroin, any other possession case. Now, you can have misdemeanors with this, but it has to be a misdemeanor that's related to the charge. In other words, a possession of drug paraphernalia is allowed. In this case, you are required, that's level 2, if you have a possession of anything else, you are required to get treatment. As part of the contract, you have to go and you have to go to a treatment facility, any one of your choosing. You have to let us know what that treatment looks like. And within 6 months, we have to have a letter from your treatment facility that indicates that you have been receiving treatment. Again, like level 1, 6 months, arrest-free, we'll dismiss the charges against you. And what we do there in level 2 is you have to seek treatment, but you do not have to go through the criminal justice system. You will not have a conviction, but you will at the same time get treatment. Those are low level offenders. And when we get to level 3, and there's 3 levels, when you get to level 3, it's slightly different. Level 3 is someone who has a possession, and I should say in level 2, you don't have a prior record. In level 3, it's the same thing, a possession of any controlled substance, including over 30 grams of cannabis, but you do have a prior record. Now, with those individuals, we are going to do what we call, or we are doing, risk needs responsivity assessment. Essentially what that is, anyone who's ever worked in problem-solving courts before, those are the assessments that we do in those courts to see your risk to reoffend, not your risk to relapse, but your risk to reoffend. Once we find out if you are low risk to reoffend, and we have partnered with National Louis University to do those assessments, they will assess the individual. If their assessment comes back, they are low risk to reoffend, they will put into deter level 3. Again, they have to do the same things in deter level 2. They have to go to treatment, they have to get a treatment plan, they have to be compliant with that treatment plan. At the end of the 6-month time period, if they are compliant and arrest-free, we will dismiss the charges against you. What happens if you are high risk to reoffend in that level 3? Then you're offered drug court. And that means that you need closer supervision with the judge and the court system. So the idea here is to capture our low risk reoffenders and low level drug charges. Trafficking, for example, you cannot have a trafficking charge in this program, nor can you have any other accompanied charge unless it's a low level misdemeanor related to the charge in this program. We hope that by doing this, we will have and it's mandatory for our attorneys to offer this for levels 1 and 2. And the hope is that we will have literally thousands of cases that will go through the deter program and not go through our traditional drug court. And then the traditional drug court will just be for high risk offenders, which is essentially, if you know about problem solving courts, that's our target audience. So that's essentially what we're doing in deter. Does anyone have any questions about our new program? Anything I missed, Andrew?
And Madam Chair, if I could add to what Ms. Wilds had said, just to provide a little bit of context for this. I mean, the idea behind this all was that rehabilitation and treatment are much better avenue to address substance abuse than punitive sanctions such as locking people up. We know that treatment-based approaches are less expensive, they're more cost-effective, they're more effective in reducing crime, and they actually address the underlying problem, which is the substance abuse. Even outside of what happens in the criminal justice system, there are societal benefits for addressing, for having drug treatment for people who suffer from abuse in terms of the health benefits, the increased opportunities for people to maintain employment, and of course, the lower likelihood that they end up getting caught up in the criminal justice system again. This is the entire idea behind this program, as Ms. Wilds just walked through the different phases, is to use a clinical-based approach to figure out what are the needs of this specific offender from a clinical perspective, not a legal perspective, and then address those needs through treatment. That's why we have the different levels, because people have different levels of need for their substance abuse. The practices here are following best practices from the Florida Supreme Court drug court model, from models across the country. Ms. Wilds has done a lot of research and visited drug courts and talked with people around the country as we put this program together. I want to thank our law enforcement partners for their support and input on this, and their recognition that we can actually better address crime and make our community safer by getting people who need treatment into treatment.
Of Mr. Warren or Ms. Wiles. Mr. Parkinson.
Just one comment. I just wanted to thank the State Attorney's Office and the Administrative Office of the courts working so diligently on adopting these national best practices. The risk-need responsivity model developed by Andrews and Bonta is widely recognized as the need plus ultra in not only risk assessment, but service matching. There's plenty of assessments out there that will assess risk, but R&R actually links people to the needed services to keep them out of the criminal justice system in the future. So thank you for all the work that you're doing on that.
Anyone else wish to comment?
I'm sorry, if I could just throw in one more thank you to National Louis University. They're providing the assessments for us for free. They're having their, basically their students and staff perform these R&Rs for us just as a service to the community.
Question. I'm always wearing my various different hats, and the one I have on at the moment has to do with human trafficking. Human trafficking victims are frequently have multiple charges against them and have multiple circumstances that make it very difficult for them to make the decision to not go back to their trafficker. And drugs frequently is part of the issue. In the R&R program and in what we're doing, not only at the Sheriff's Office, but also with TPD, those individuals that could potentially be human trafficking victims but have drug and other related charges against them, is that captured in the R&R, and are they eligible for this program?
It may not be captured. Well, let me say this first. Yes, because as Mr. Parkinson just alluded to, the R&R, the N part stands for needs, so it flags needs. So if there's trauma, sexual trauma, it will capture that and it will say it will flag that essentially and say this is a need, you need to have a program that addresses this, because it's not just substance abuse.
Right.
People have, obviously they're homeless. They may have trauma. They may have education needs. It flags every need that you have. At the same time, it assesses your risk. So they would be eligible. To your other question, would they be eligible? It would depend on if they met the criteria for those certain levels that I just indicated to you. So if they were in level 3 and they had a drug charge, they would get a needs assessment. Now, they may be higher risk to reoffend because of what need was flagged, but then there's a program for that within the court system. And there's also a program in the court system that allows their charges to be dropped. So it's not just our deter program. You could go into either drug court, our traditional drug court, or what we call our diversion drug court, and your charges would be dismissed, but you would get closer supervision and more case management, which you might need in a case of a victim of human trafficking.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear about this program. It's excellent work.
You're welcome.
To add, not only is our R&R tools being utilized by the deter program, but court administration is using it for a number of our specialty courts, including drug court. And we have had scenarios, I can tell you, where individuals going through drug court were victims of human trafficking. And we're able to use the results from the R&R assessment to link the individuals to treatment and services. And in this example, we had a young lady who was victimized, and the perpetrator knew where the public substance abuse treatment facilities were in Hillsborough County, and would actually try and re-recruit that individual. So using that R&R, we realized that was an issue, and we ended up sending her to a treatment provider not in our circuit. And we're able to use DCF reinvestment grant dollars to pay for those treatment services. So the young lady got the services she needed, and we were able to extricate her from this community where her victimizer resided. So that's one good example of how the R&R was able to identify that as a risk and address the need.
Any other comments or any other questions? Ms. Wallace and Mr. Warren, thank you all very much for the presentation, and I join in everyone's thoughts about how it is important to have programs such as this in place so that we can really effectuate a change in people's lives and try to help them to become better and more prepared citizens within the community. So thank you both for the program. Ms. Wiles, you also wanted to chat about the Adult Mental Health Court. Did you want to do that at this time?
And I assume you mean the changes that we had to our post-adjudication court and mental health court, because that's what's new and exciting that we're doing. We have, prior to maybe 6 weeks ago or so, we had only a diversion type program. And what I mean by that is that if you had mental health needs, you would then go into our mental health court, but we only had diversion, meaning you had a very limited record. We now have, and Mr. Parkinson knows all about that because I think he helped us get the grant, a 3-year grant that will help us in post-adjudication. And by that means you can have a record. If you are scoring or eligible or really on your way to prison, but you have a significant mental health issue, we now have a program for those individuals where we did not before. We didn't have any options for them. So with this program, they'll be identified in the regular felony divisions. If you score prison, meaning, and on your score sheet means that you have to be, the option has to be prison. This is a prison diversion program. And we are partnered with Grace Point for this program, and there's case management, and they will help them with housing, obviously their mental health needs. They'll help them get the benefits they're entitled to, and they'll be on probation. And our Chief Judge Figueroa is going to be running the program in Division M, which is our mental health court. And they'll be on probation for a period of time, and instead of going to prison. And at the end of that, the goal is that the person with mental health is they can manage their mental health. Unlike drug, if you have a substance abuse problem, the goal is abstinence and not to use drugs anymore. When you have a mental health problem, the issue is to become be able to manage your mental health illness. It's not going to go away, obviously, but to be able to manage it. So what we're hopeful, and as Andrew alluded to earlier, is that this reduces recidivism, that we finally look at the real problem, the real issue, and try to make some changes there so they don't come back into the system. So we're very excited about this. It's a 3-year, I think Mr. Parkinson can correct me if I'm wrong, $1.2 million grant for 3 years to run this program. So we're very excited about that.
Just to add a little detail, this is another great example of how we use state grant money to try something new in the mental health court presided over by Chief Judge Figueroa, to the point where we were able to show the state that we have a really good, solid program. When the State Department of Children and Families came down to do their evaluation, they were extremely impressed by the work of the Behavioral Health Court. So we were able to keep that grant for the entirety of its 3 years. That grant actually ended. We presented the program to the Board of County Commissioners, and Commissioner Overman and her fellow commissioners opted to continue funding the program through a special use trust fund that the county has for special target populations like this. So moving forward, that program is going to be funded by a local community trust fund. So I think it's going to be much more resilient to funding shifts in the future. So again, great example. And I've had a number of occasions where I've had the opportunity to go sit in mental health court. And for those of you that have spent time in a courtroom, mental health court and all of our specialty courts really operate differently. It really is a problem-solving court where all folks in there are just really trying to do their best to keep folks out of the criminal justice system and making sure they get the necessary services and treatment to stay well in the community.
Judge Figueroa?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. It's been very rewarding to preside over our adult mental health court, and we've also got a great juvenile mental health court. We're really doing some very, very good work in both of those courts. And again, this is a great example, as I spoke of earlier, the relationship between the courts and the clerks, the relationship between the courts and Hillsborough County and the Board of County Commissioners, the support we get from them. It's not like that around the state. You know, it's something we can't take for granted, this working relationship that we have between all of our stakeholders, the Office of the Public Defender, the State Attorney, the Clerk, and Hillsborough County. And so really on behalf of all of our judges, I want to thank all of our partners and the Board of County Commissioners for continuing to step up to recognize that these programs are working. I mean, you know, it is so rewarding when you sit there as a judge and you see people coming in that really have a lot of, there's some sick people, some really seriously ill people, and you're able to provide them services that they've never had before, and you're able to provide them encouragement that they've never had before. And all of a sudden you see them when, and of course this was pre-Zoom, walking in or just even on Zoom, you know, the excitement in their faces when they've got things under control, when they're managing their issues, when they've got a job and they're working, they've got a safe place to stay. It's just very, very rewarding. And so again, I want to thank the board and all of our partners in keeping these courts running, because I'm so very proud of our mental health court, our juvenile mental health court. Our veterans treatment court is the leading veterans treatment court in the country. I mean, come on, it doesn't get any better than that. Our drug court's phenomenal. We had one of the first drug courts in the United States, you know, right here in Hillsborough County. So as we move forward, it's an exciting time. Even dealing with the budget issues we're dealing with and dealing with the pandemic issues we're dealing with, because these courts really are more hands-on. They involve a lot more involvement between the court, you know, and the person. So it's been a little difficult with Zoom, but we're making it work.
And I also echo Judge Figueroa's comments, but more importantly, Judge, I want to thank you and the problem-solving court judges, because to be real honest with you, over the last 10 months, the ability to continue to maintain those courtrooms and to maintain the contact and the care and the support for all of those individuals that are in those courtrooms, we haven't missed a beat in those courtrooms at all. And as you said, those are individuals that truly do need the support system that's in place. And Commissioner Overman, the county has always stepped up every time we've wanted to have a courtroom where we can really show the successes. And so on behalf of all of us that are stakeholders within the system, we thank you and all the commissioners for your continued support. And hopefully when you are not virtual anymore, you can come and watch all of our courtrooms and really feel the difference that you make in people's lives. So thank you all very much. Jaria, thanks for all the work. I know you and Ashley and Maria have been very busy in the last month or so, and we'll be visiting with Judge Ficarota soon with some suggested improvements. So, Judge, when you hear the phone
Open-minded.
ring, it'll be us.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And, I don't know if all of you are aware of this, but we have literally implemented best practices in every single one of our problem-solving courts, and that has been through really good, hard work over the last 4 years. And so I know how long we've waited for that, and we can now tell you that we have successfully reached those goals. So, Mr. Parkinson, that should make you and I very proud since we've been around for a long time.
I am elated, and as you mentioned, I've been around for a while, and to see the positive changes that have occurred, most of them in the last 5 to 10 years, I am just so very proud. And I mentioned when the Department of Children and Families came and monitored our program to see how we were doing. And one of the monitors actually left Chief Judge Figueroa's courtroom and was crying because she was so elated with the dignity and respect that Chief Figueroa treated the individuals going through the courtroom. And I've never had that happen. And that always puts us in a very good place with our funders. So thank you for that.
Yes, all of you all would be very, very impressed with the teddy bear that Judge Ficarota in these courtrooms. You really have to see it to really appreciate it. So thank you very much again to everyone. Is there any other business to conduct at this time or any public comment? I'll just say, because we all know that if he were here, he would make a comment. Mr. McCrae has maintained contact with me. He texts. He lets me know how he's doing. He was hospitalized for several weeks, but he's back home and he's improving, and he sends his well wishes to all of us. And so I told him that we obviously missed the public comments. So thank you all very much. Anyone, any other comments?
Mr. Warren, I think, did you have something to add?
I just, going back to the last point, following Mr. Parkinson said, and sorry if I'm now out of turn, but I just wanted to make sure that the council understood the significance and everyone in the community, the importance of us being able to implement best practices, and not only makes for more effective courts here and more effective problem-solving courts, but a couple of years ago, we had talked about the potential financial risk for not coming into line with best practices. And it was a lot of work for all the stakeholders to get together and do this. And we were able to do it across different courts. And especially, as the Chief Judge had alluded to earlier, at a time when our budgets are coming under fire, doing what the state has asked us to do to implement best practices hopefully protects those funding sources against somebody trying to pull them out from under us because they feel like we're not doing what they've asked us to do.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any other business? Everyone have a very safe weekend, and thank you all again for coming today and having us meet our quorum. Thank you.